So my name is Jaime Schackmann, and I work at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And I've been working here since 2008, so 13 years. I work in finance. I do have some experience with foreign military sales and some experience doing the military pay or civilian pay type transactions here as well. I am currently going for my master's degree in military strategy and arts. So I know that I feel it's very important for young people to know to go to college, go right away, don't take a break. And if you are able to go full time, I went part-time and worked full-time since I was 18. So it took me quite a bit longer to get my degree. And in some instances, it helped because I gained work experience while getting my degree. But in other instances, I have noticed I have colleagues who went straight through and they had reached their rank at a faster rate than I had. So I do think that there is much more benefit to go into college straight through full time. And I've also seen that if you're able to keep going straight through for your master's, to do that as well. That's something I would recommend. Working in finance here at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base has been amazing. You get to see a lot of effects, like especially when I'm working with the service members and helping them solve pay issues. You know, a person's paycheck is very personal to them. And if for some reason they're not going to get their paycheck because of something in the system, didn't get input properly, it really creates a stress and a burden. So being able to provide help and service for that is something I enjoy. Foreign military sales has also been extremely interesting. If you have any interest in politics, foreign military sales involves a lot of politics. And it's just interesting to see how all the different countries function, their governments, how uniquely different they are than ours, how their financial systems work compared to ours. And it's also interesting to see what kind of items they're purchasing. You know, some of that information, of course, is classified. But if you're interested in working in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, I would highly recommend finance or foreign military sales. Does anyone have any like questions about life, school, work I can answer?
Jamie, they asked where you went to college. Thanks.
Oh, so I actually started at Sinclair Community College, and that's where I got my associates. And Sinclair is fantastic school, and especially if you're going to end up having to pay for a lot of college yourself, I would highly recommend Sinclair. Starting off there, get some of your prereqs out of the way, and from there, find a 4-year university or college that will take some of the credits. And so my 4-year degree, I then got from Franklin University, which is actually in Columbus, Ohio. But I did the distance learning, and they have a program, or at least at the time, they had a program set up with Sinclair where they accepted 100% of the credits. So I was able to do that. And then for my master's degree, I applied and was accepted through a program in the Air Force. So it's actually being paid for by the Air Force. I will say too, when I was about 17, I was a senior in high school. I actually signed up and enlisted in the Air Force Reserves. So I used the GI Bill to pay for a lot of my college, and that was a great experience. The military can really get you into shape morally, ethically, and physically. And it was just great. And I was really proud to be able to pay for my education on my own that way. And I do think that in a lot of ways, it means a lot more to you if you're paying for it, um, because that's your money and you don't want to waste it, you know?
Absolutely. What other questions do you guys have? Oh, I don't know if she could talk about that. Jamie, they were asking with the foreign military cells. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like what exactly you sell?
I can talk about some of it, and probably more like generals, but we do have countries that will actually buy um, some of our airplane platforms like F-16s and F-15s, and frankly, this a lot of the stuff that you see in the news, um, I mean, that stuff's not classified, of course, and you can find what certain countries are purchasing through the news. They'll purchase some ammunition, missiles. Sometimes they even purchase services from us. Um, we are actually heavily involved with like narcotics issues, like in South America, and then many countries all over. They have F-16s. The countries in particular I worked for were Poland, Greece, Morocco, Bahrain, which is funny because I didn't even know Bahrain existed until I started to work for them. And I had to pull out a map to find out where it's located. And it's like this little tiny country in the Middle East. Um, they actually have we have a heavy Navy, um, not influence, but presence. We have a heavy Navy presence over there in Bahrain. um, Morocco, if I didn't say that already. Um, but there's just, I mean, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of countries everywhere, and the foreign military sales is very unique to the government as far as work, because in some cases, the foreign countries purchase these items from us or systems or services using their own money. But then there's also instances, like I said, in all this stuff, if you chose to do some research, you could easily find the information if you would like. But there are some instances where we have foreign partners where it's in our benefit, the US government and United States of America, it's in our benefit to provide them with some of these systems. Because it's in our interest, we will give them these items. And of course, with everything, there's always a contract and there's stipulations, and they have to hold up their end of the bargain. And where sometimes the politics come into play is sometimes that country doesn't hold up their end of the bargain. Does anyone know what a coup is?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So,
Gotcha.
that's actually part of an agreement. Like if we have an agreement with a foreign country and there happens to be a coup, then we cease all of our contracts with them because that is going against the contract. And so I find that really interesting. Um, does that answer or help answer the question with foreign
Yeah,
militaries?
it
Okay.
did. Yeah. What else, guys? One of the things I try to enforce is that you're dealing with people from all over the globe. We've talked about it from the business perspective, but you
Yes.
are in particular. So do you have any good stories you could share about dealing with somebody from another culture, or just some of the any blunders that would be safe to share with
Oh
us?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, because there are cultural differences, obviously. I mean, these people um, from different cultures. And one of the things that's really interesting to witness is the way that different countries will possibly negotiate. They
Okay.
negotiate differently. So I'll say probably more like Eastern Asian countries, they tend to um, ask the same questions worded differently. And what they'll do is they'll go through the room and they'll ask the same question to just about everyone in the room and try in an attempt to get someone to possibly slip up and give a different answer so that way they can get what they want. That's a negotiation tactic that seems to be prevalent in the Eastern Asian countries. Um, there are some of the Middle Eastern countries where they won't negotiate with a woman, you know. I mean, obviously that's not something that we believe in America, but you have to deal with that.
Did your job give you the training to prepare for it, or did they raise an awareness prior to walking into that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is something that they do very well here. They try to give briefings, like especially if you, because one of the things that's nice with foreign military sales, if you're interested in traveling, it's definitely a good area to get involved in because you will get to travel to some of these other countries and then get paid for it too, right? Um, and before you travel, oftentimes there will be a cultural briefing describing what some countries, what's acceptable, you know, and what's not. Like in some countries, we have a tendency here, sometimes we will cross our legs, right? Um, but maybe we'll cross our legs with put our right ankle on top of our left knee, and it exposes the bottom of our shoe. And that actually can be very offensive in certain cultures, showing the bottom of your shoe to people. So you get to learn a lot of the nuances. And one of the things too that's real nice is they will teach you some phrases, you know, and have you practice in the other language as well, because some countries are not um, as educated in the English as others.
Makes sense. Good. I was glad I was hoping it wasn't just an indoctrined by fire situation where they threw you into.
No, right.
It
Oh no, that would be horrible.
would. Okay, gentlemen, what else? Anything else? Okay, I think they're still waking up. Oh, Colin has a question. Go ahead.
Okay.
He asked if you've ever been able to travel to some of the countries that you've dealt with, right? Is that the question?
So
Okay.
myself in particular, uh, was there more? I'm sorry.
Oh, and if so, have you ever felt a sense of danger with it?
Okay. Well, myself in particular, I have chosen to not travel. I did not get involved in foreign military sales until I already had like a small family. And so for myself, leaving my small children, even for just a week, causes anxiety. So I chose not to travel. But I have a lot of colleagues that did. And as far as their safety, I have never really heard that any of them felt uh, in danger. I will say there are stories but they have to do with people's behavior. So when you're going on, you know, to another country, you know, you're during your work day, but when you get off duty, I will say it's important that you're still representing when you're going. You're still representing America, you know, the United States. And especially if you're going as a government official, you're representing the American government. Oh, I have a question for everyone. Just kind of like in general, is any of you like already thinking about your future and that you want to eventually, you know, climb the ranks, become a leader somewhere, anything like that?
You know, yeah, I mean, there's several in here that I think would fall into that category for sure.
So one of the things, as a, you know, as I'm climbing the ranks and I'm learning leadership and something to think about, it's not just about knowing how to do your job and do it well. In order to be a good leader, you have to have soft skills. I don't know if you guys have heard of, you know, soft skills and being able to deal with different personalities, being able to deal with conflict and de-escalate situations. It's something to think about now, and it's something that you can honestly use in every aspect of your life because you have relationships with friends, significant others, your parents, and eventually you're going to have relationships with coworkers, with bosses, and learning how to navigate each type of relationship will really be beneficial to you in the long run. And I know in a lot of ways I learned the hard way, and it took me a while to develop a lot of those skills through reading, research, trial and error. Um, there's a lot of good books out there. If you don't like to read, Audible.
So if anybody just coming out of high school, maybe wanted to take a more non-traditional path and join your organization, is that a possibility without any specific education or training, or what do you guys look for in the field you're in now?
So in the field that I'm in now, it would be a possibility. You could come in at a lower GS level. And for those of you that don't know, in civil service, general scale GS, that's kind of like our rank system, similar to what the active duty military has rank systems. We do as well. It is possible. However, I would say it's much easier to come in after your 4-year degree, or possibly towards the end of your 4-year degree. We have these Palace Acquire, which would be like internship type positions, which you work while you're continuing with your degree. And then once you get your degree, then you would get a permanent position. And that would be the best way to enter into this field.
Gotcha. So, okay, so are you saying, could you do this job and not be active duty? Okay, yes, and in
Oh,
fact,
yes.
that's
Yeah.
what she is. She's a government employee. So she happened to be active duty when she was younger. She said she was reserve, but this job could be independent of that. Like you don't have to have any military time to
Correct.
have done this job. I'll turn it over
Correct.
to you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, that's absolutely correct. There are a lot of folks here who were active duty first and then got out. They either retired or chose not to reenlist, and then they came back in as a government employee, civil servant. And there are a lot of folks though that have just only been civil servants. They've never been a part of the active duty military force. So it is absolutely possible.
Did that answer your question, Colin? Okay, great. Just making sure I understood it correctly. Anything else? No? Okay. Well, this was wonderful, Jamie. Thank you for giving us your time today and teaching us a little bit about what you do and some of the things we need to be aware of as we move forward. And just, yeah, thank you for your time.
No, thank you. I really hope that it was helpful and that I was able to give some good insight and advice. Like I said, I was young once. It was a long time ago. And if I can help you guys learn from anything I've done, I'm happy to do it. And I wish you all the best. Good luck in your future endeavors.